big difference between rural and urban China. 1 in 12 people in the world is a Chinese farmer. I mean, and that number is on a decline because rural China is becoming more industrial as opposed to agricultural. Number one thing you should always keep studying is language, just because saying you speak Chinese is like saying you speak Romance language, right? Like, if you speak Italian, you can probably cobble something together with someone in French, but not much, and it's really the same way. I mean, coming to Beijing after being in Southwest China just like reminds me of how strong like my teachers in the U.S., like how strong their accents are. So it takes a lot of acclimation to get used to the dialects, and so the better command of the language you have, the more equipped you are to just go into stranger and stranger situations. There's issues of like political ecology and land use in like the rural parts of China that are really interesting as well, because everything is central policy, right? So it's all coming from government in Beijing and being broadcast through the different tiers of governments at the provincial and prefectural and county level. There's a lot that can happen between somebody deciding like, oh, we need to increase our GDP in this way, like from Beijing, and people beginning to plant different crops or change their sort of like their mode of life, like in some small farm town in the on the border of Tibet. So from an anthropological standpoint, which is where I'm coming from, political ecology, I think, is a really fascinating thing.
I had a friend say to me the other night something I thought was really true. The more you learn, as far as relating to China, glad I got that on film. The more you learn, the more you discover, the more you realize you have to learn. What can you say about that?
I mean, as far as like an empire or a nation state goes, this is like one of the, if not the oldest country in the world. I mean, it's so old. It's just, you can't, even just from a historical standpoint, like a year here is really almost not enough time to even begin to get like a comprehensive overview of what's brought, what's led up to this point in Chinese history. And really, because there's been so much inconsistency in policy, in governance, in the keeping of history, in ethnography, in everything. It's always changed. It's always changing here. I mean, because there have been so many different sort of eras of thought in Chinese history, you absolutely, like, you don't, what you learn is how much you don't know. Just like you get a better and better idea of like how much you don't know. And so from that standpoint, I think your friend is absolutely right. It's a process of discovering where you should go next to keep learning about the aspects of Chinese history and Chinese culture that you want to learn about, because it goes so far beyond anything in Western Europe or anything like that. I mean, people think Rome is old, and Rome has nothing on China. It's a joke, like a flash in the pan.